Okay, here we go.
Let's do it. Cheers, brother.
Here we go.
To season 1.5.
All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Did You Eat Yet? I'm your host Harrison,
I'm your host, Alex.
and oh my goodness, we're finally here.
We are live.
Wow, how long has it been?
It's been about like 6 months, I think.
Man, this pandemic, dude, has really it's been something, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everyone's lives have changed. If anything, I feel like so many people are leaving New York City, which we can talk about more later. But
Yeah, I mean, the exodus out of New York is so crazy. I know everyone is leaving out of the major metropolitan areas. Like, how many of our friends moved out of New York, bro?
can't even count. But do you see the Facebook listings of like everyone moving out or everyone trying to sublet?
It's
ridiculous.
crazy, man. It's crazy.
You know what's crazy though?
What's up?
Well, should we give them life updates about me?
Oh, let's go for it, man. Let's go straight into it.
Hey, for our viewers, we just we moved to what do we do?
Yeah,
We
moved in.
together.
We moved in together, bro. That's that's what we did.
So rather than moving out of New York City, I decided to move in with Harrison.
That's
and
right.
You know what? We're gonna make more podcasts. We're gonna make more content.
We're
gonna
building
make
this
more everything.
content factory right in our house, right?
So yeah, I think I did the exact opposite of what everyone else is doing. But you know what? You gotta make some sacrifices to.
That's true, man. That's true. And for me, it's not a sacrifice because I was already living here. We're so glad to have you in this house. We're super excited to pop out more podcast episodes with you, man. So, what have you been doing up until then? We stopped recording out in maybe March, right?
Yeah,
Our
March,
last
yeah.
episode was around there.
Yeah.
And now it's September already. Oh, my goodness. Time flies. And I'm curious, like, what have you been doing and keeping yourself busy throughout this whole summer?
Yeah, it's been a crazy 6 months now. 6 months, yeah, it's been crazy. I actually moved to Philly and lived with my girlfriend and her parents for 6 months, which was pretty crazy.
6 months.
Yeah.
That's wild, man. How's that been?
Honestly, it was super nice, and it's one of those experiences that you'll never get ever again, in my opinion, because there are times where you visit your in-laws or whatever for like holidays and stuff, but to be able to actually live with them for 6 months, it's totally a different experience. When you're visiting just a little bit, you're trying to be on your best behavior, but you just can't help but be yourself at times, right?
That's
when
true.
you're living for that long.
You get a little comfortable, don't you?
You get comfortable, but like I said, it was just one of those great experiences. You get to know the parents. At this point, I've pretty much signed the contract. I think I'm locked down at this point.
There we go.
They even told me
There we go.
they even told me that. So no, but joking aside, really, it was really fun, and I felt like a kid again. I never had to make any of my lunches or dinners. Just
For sure.
focus on work and got to just chill out and relax and enjoy the suburbs.
What's it like living in the suburbs, man? I'm so curious because for me, I was out in the city for basically the entire summer, living in this small apartment. And I know most people leave for the suburbs because they want more space, they want like access to a car and whatnot. So I'm curious, what was that difference for you like, man?
The suburbs is really nice. I mean, I got to drive, which was kind of a first in a very, very long time after living in New York City for 5 years plus. But other than that, you get to go on walks and see trees and not see huge buildings. But other than that, I mean, it was pretty relaxing. Got to wake up to like birds chirping, which is
Isn't that crazy, man?
Dude, right now in this new apartment,
Yeah.
I wake up to garbage trucks.
There we
like,
go. Throwing
Throwing away trash, man, and
just-
honking.
Drunk people on the streets and at night. It's loud out here.
But really, it's good to be back at the same time. I mean, staying in the suburbs is good, but New York City is where all the action happens. So I'm just glad to be back and trying out this content stuff again.
For
and,
sure.
just be back to my motion of what I was before
For sure. I
COVID.
mean, it's always great to have you. So it's always great to have you back. And now that we live together, we're going to be doing great stuff. So I'm very excited about that.
So you know that I was in the suburbs, and I heard that you were still in the city. What have you been up to?
Man, it's been a tumultuous 2020. I'm not gonna lie.
Please do tell. Please do tell.
Let's just start with this whole time of being just secluded from everyone. I'm someone who goes to church on Sundays. I got a job Monday through Friday, and so I like being social. I'm pretty much an extrovert. No wonder we can do a podcast like this.
True.
But from going from that to literally seeing no one was pretty wild. I feel like we're people where every Friday, Saturday we going out. K-Town, wherever, wherever the situation might be. Birthday parties. Once a week, there's a birthday. Every week, there's a different birthday.
Yeah,
Going
sure.
from that to literally seeing nobody except your roommates. And, the roommates that I was living with at the time, they were like, trying to leave the suburbs and all that kind of stuff. And so there were a lot.
City?
Yeah, out of they're moving back to maybe their parents' house, maybe their girlfriend's parents' house, but not here. You know what I mean? So that whole, wow, just like being by yourself for such an extended period of time definitely changes you.
Yeah. So why didn't you go back to the suburbs with your parents and stuff? Because I know that you're from Maryland area, and it's not that far,
No, that's a great question. It's so interesting because for me, the way that I kind of been raised, I think of it almost as like me losing. If I have to kind of give up and kind of just leave this apartment to go back home, it almost seems like you went to war and you just got your butt hurt, and then you just like you coming back. I don't, for me, for some reason, it felt like defeat. And so even though it was tough, and I even lost my job, got laid off because of this pandemic. Even beyond that, I didn't really ever want to go back. If that makes sense.
Right. And what was like the main factor of why you didn't want to go back, you think?
For me, it's just like number one, like my parents don't even know that I got laid off, just because I would never want to let them know about this, and then just get them worried, about my well-being financially. Am I going to be okay?
Yeah, hopefully they're not watching this podcast, right?
No, they don't. They don't watch my podcast, so thank God.
We're not blowing up yet.
No, not yet. But just
tell your future self, like when you do get a job. Like,
that's true.
Remember this moment.
That's true. We're out here, man. We're gonna get the job soon. It's we've been through a lot. And we're fighters, so we just keep on fighting. We'll be great.
Mama, don't worry. Mama Harrison, don't worry.
Oh, of course
you got a job in the future.
In the future. Not, right now, I'm living off government money. It's pretty good. But that's what I'm saying. It's like I would never want my mom or dad to be worried about me. Even if I'm going through some crazy stuff, I'm the kind of guy who wants to tell my parents just good things. So I don't want them to ever worry about my situation. Even though, sometimes it really does get tough. I'm not going to lie, the rejection out here is real, man. Can I tell you something? The theme of 2020 for me is rejection.
Oh, you got to elaborate on that. Rejection in what aspect?
In all aspects, man. We talking relationships. We talking about like social. We talking about jobs. Yeah. Wow. Every day to wake up to an email saying you got rejected from a job offer. It's rough, man. It's tough.
I mean, it's not just you. I mean, I think it applies to a lot of people getting laid off or furloughed or whatever, man. It's a crazy time, and trying to just fill up your days has probably been super hard. So, like, what have you been like doing to just fill up the days? I know I just moved in this week.
For sure.
I see you every day, but 6 months is a long time, so I'm sure some things have changed.
Yeah, it's so weird. What have I been doing? I feel like, I've been taking this time to do a lot of reflection. If anything, another theme of 2020 for me is just reflection, and that when you strip away all of the different things that we kind of prop our lives on, be it, our friends, be it the job that we have, and you take that all away, what do you really have left? All you really have is your values, your maybe you have your spiritual life, but when you take out the physicality of things, it's more just like it's pretty empty. You know what I mean? It's like even living in New York, the culture is so much about make money, hustle, be the best. Oh, like where do you work at? And when you don't really have that, it's like, what have I been doing this whole time?
Yeah, and that's a good point. Especially pre-COVID, I think the first thing that any new people ask each other is, "Oh, what do you do?" And like, "What's your job?" And that's truly like your identifier in the city or in 2020.
It's the second question they ask, right? It's always first, "Oh, what's your name?" And then,
right.
"Oh, what do you do?"
Right, and then it's just like sometimes it's that motto of like, do you work to live or do you live to work? And it really is like telling when all of those, like you said, all of those things are stripped down. Then how do you identify yourselves? Like, where do you find value? And I think that probably are questions that you probably ask yourself even more now that it's like this empty space of
For sure.
just time to reflect and things like that.
For sure. I think definitely struggling with purpose has been really like a big thing. Like, I think a lot of people, they like to just make their lives as busy as possible. Yeah. So they don't really have to ever think about maybe just like the details, you know what I mean? It's like, from 9 to 10, I got to do this. 10 to 11, I got to do that. And they're so busy that they just don't even have time to reflect on, what's going on. And so for me, now that I don't really have a job, I think I had a great opportunity to figure out, is this the career path that I want to be on?
Right.
I
feel for our viewers, like, what was your career path before? Like,
so I was working as an analytics manager over at an ad agency, and I basically been the ad agency kind of industry for a while now. And it's not that I didn't necessarily like my job, but waking up every Monday wasn't necessarily easy. You know what I mean? You hear people be like, "Oh, I love going to work. I'm so excited to work," and you're just like, why is that? On the flip side, you also hear a bunch of our friends, Sunday night, they're just like, "Oh my goodness, I don't want to wake up tomorrow morning. I don't want to go to work tomorrow," and that's a problem too.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Why, maybe you're in it to make money. Maybe you're in it to climb do the rat race, climb the ladder. But if you're not excited to go to work on Monday, it's like, why are you even working, man?
I mean, that's a tough one because reality is we have to make some kind of form of money to survive. Whether you want to do what you're personally interested in outside of work or whatever, you need something to sustain it. But I do agree with you that you have to have some kind of like not enjoyment, but some kind of tolerance for work, right? And
for sure.
But once you start breaking that down and saying like, oh, I actually don't have that, and now I have this opportunity to really figure out what I want to do with my life. I think that's a lot of. I would take that as an opportunity because I don't think a lot of people have it. Like too many people are scared to quit their job with nothing to really pursue something that they find meaningful. So, in a weird way, it could be a blessing in disguise, but it's not super obvious now. Right?
And that's the thing about me too, where it's like now that I don't have a job, I realize the function of the job for me was also to set me up to do the things that I want. You know what I mean? It's like, maybe the job that I had wasn't my ideal job. Maybe it wasn't the job that, gets me super excited in the morning, but it allowed me opportunity to do things like this, podcasting with you. Obviously, the equipment and the infrastructure you needed to start this podcast isn't easy. It's not a small amount. And the fact that we were able to do this with the money and the resources that the job that I had allowed me to, I guess that's kind of what it is. You know what I mean? It's like having a side hobby. Right. It's like I work to have a side hobby.
Right, exactly, yeah. But now that you do have this time, like, what do you think you've like learned about yourself outside of just like jobs? But like, do you find yourself valuing other things more than you used to?
Man, like everyone knows this. If you're like close friends of mine know this. It's I don't read books. Like I don't read books ever.
Yeah.
And like it's because I went through college and I just had to read so many books that I just got sick of reading books. I don't read the news. I don't read nothing. But I spent this time and I read a lot of books. Just books about, Christianity, books about self-improvement, history books, all sorts of books. And that has been really just like invaluable. It has been super invaluable for me. And having the freedom to kind of wake up and think about how you want to set up your day and become productive on your own has definitely made me think about life in more of an entrepreneurial sense. Even when I'm making my music, I'm thinking about what can I necessarily do to go into market and produce new music, but also other things, exploring other avenues such as I'm trying to start a clothing line sometime late this year, early next year. And it's just having the freedom to do that, thinking it on a more of just like, okay, how can I make a living off of this? And even this podcast, maybe we'll get to a point where we can do that. You only can do that when you have the freedom of time to do so.
Yeah, I mean, there's that saying like time is money, and if we spend most of our or majority of our time working, and I do work, but compared to some like finance people I know, like investment banking, they're working like 12, 14 hours a day.
Facts.
You pretty much can't do anything besides work and eat. So just having that opportunity to have time is really invaluable, especially right now.
And that's the thing. It's like also at a certain point financially, maybe I'm talking out of privilege, but at a certain point, like money doesn't really make you that much happier. You know what I mean? It's like, if I was making, I don't know, if I was making 100K and then I make like 120K, 120, like that 20K doesn't make me that much more happier, the same percentage increase happier. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and if you like really want to break it down, it's 20K over 12 months, and that's also pre-tax. So it's like, okay, how much are you really actually?
Maybe that gets me like another pair of shoes.
Maybe. I mean, you got some expensive shoes, dude.
I do, but like, it's just like maybe it gets me a pair of pants. I don't know. Like,
I see
what does that
your point.
do?
I see your point.
What does that do?
Yeah, exactly. That makes complete sense. But with all this time though, like, do you see yourself like? Are there like any next steps that you're envisioning or anything like that, or is it just more like you're still kind of in that kind of searching phase?
Yeah, I think in terms of like my actual career, I don't think that has really changed that much. I think I do enjoy and I'm good enough at my job to a certain degree where I will continue on that path. I think it's much more the new lease on life that I have. When I do get a job in the future, what will that mean to me?
Yeah.
I think that's what kind of is my new perspective. Yeah.
And do you know a lot of other people that are in like a similar situation as you in terms of?
Oh man, so many people. They report that only 10 million people are unemployed, but I heard I've read some articles that it's probably closer to 30 million people.
Is it because like no one's filing unemployment, or what's up with that?
I don't know. Maybe maybe it's just the government trying to hide the fact that we're like our economy is tanking. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I have no idea, but apparently it's far more significant than we actually want to believe, which is super scary, man. And I would say probably 3 out of 10 of my friends are laid off, furloughed, not working right now.
And how have you guys been like coping? I know how you've been coping with it, but like, are other people in like? Do you think they're kind of feeling the same way about it, or is it just they're still kind of in that scramble mode of trying to just find whatever job they can find?
I think there's definitely competition. It's an immense competition, even from my experience, but I've also heard from some of my friends who are looking for new jobs or just any opportunity to pay their bills, and they're just like, yo, it's tough. You know what I mean? It's just I heard from a friend because he also works for me in the ad agency industry, and he was saying how it's crazy because for the same role there's almost 3 times the amount of applications, and so for someone like me, I gotta go up against 3 times the amount of people who are probably more senior than me, people who are probably more experienced than me. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I think right now, especially because I think it's like they're all hiring remote people as well. So just this whole like onboarding process and things like that, it's going to be pretty complicated. And I just feel as though it's what is it? They say it's like a seller's market, so they could just really hire whoever they want for probably a really low price as well.
Yeah, and speaking of seller's market, I feel like, socially it's been the same way too, where it's like this whole time of you get to kind of choose who you want to meet up with. Obviously, we're not out of this pandemic, but things are definitely a lot better in New York.
Right.
And so, I still have the opportunity to go out and meet people, like maybe in a park or something, just like in an open space. Obviously, with PPE, everyone wear your masks.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that's so crazy because I've realized who is really, truly important to me in my life. You know what I mean? It's like when you strip away everything and you're really in a dire situation like this, it's like, you can really see who you value and who also really values you as a friend.
That's true. I mean, I'm sure you've done plenty of like Zoom hangouts and things like that, but even those I feel like are kind of dying here and there because you can't just do that on a weekly basis.
We're not doing Zoom birthdays no more, dude. I don't want no Zoom birthdays.
Yeah, I feel like those don't exist, but especially in New York City, I just feel one thing that's kind of nice about what's happening right now is that since there isn't as many people in New York City, you kind of have a very selected limit of options of who do you want to hang out with.
That's true.
And if they just happen to be the same people that you actually want to hang out with, it makes it just that much more meaningful. Like these hangouts are becoming more and more like just appreciated more, right? Because you just take it for granted previously.
Way more valuable. And like that's the thing, man. I'm curious about for you. It's like for me, I got to really notice who values me, who am I important to, but also who's important to me. But on top of that, it's also just like, I feel like, in life there's like primary friends, secondary friends, tertiary friends. Primary friends for me is like indistinguishable from family. That's a family you chose. Mm-hmm. And so like these are the people I fight with. I'll be like, oh, I hate you. Oh, you stupid. But like, I know they always going to be with me. I got that. Secondary friends, like it's something in between where it's more just like, we're pretty close. Maybe I see you pretty frequently, but not family yet. Mm-hmm. And then tertiary is just like that dude. You just like you'll see him.
a crush or something.
Exactly. And just like, yo, what's up, dude? Hey, it's good to see you.
You don't quite know his name, so you're just like, what up, bro? What up, bro?
For sure. And I know a lot of people have been telling me that the tertiary friend thing is just gone. It's like primary is always going to be like go-to, and then secondary is like maybe, once every month. I'm curious, for me, I miss the tertiary. I miss that I don't want to call it fake because that makes it seem not important or or just bad. Mm-hmm. But I miss that tertiary friendship, bro.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. A part of me doesn't really care for it as much these days, but maybe I'm just in a different situation where I just want to get a lot of shit done.
Yeah, for sure.
So my priorities are just more focused on myself and my girlfriend and just thinking about the future and from that perspective.
Would you say that's like an age difference or what?
Maybe. I don't know, I'm 31, you're 26, 26.
About to be 26.
Yeah, about to be 26. So maybe it is maybe it's also because I'm in a relationship, so that could also be a little bit different. I do enjoy meeting new people and just getting to know them and asking what they do, like a very typical New Yorker. But at least this moment, I find this more as an opportunity to really try new things and meeting tertiary friends. It's fun, but in a way, it's just filling up space. You know what I mean?
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah. So to me, I think I personally have just enjoyed this time to just figure out what I'm good at, what I suck at, what I hate, what I don't like, and being able to have that time to really just experiment with myself.
For sure.
To figure out those things have been really helpful. But I can't lie, I do miss those days where, you just go out, you meet your friends, and you meet your friends of friends, and you just get to know people. Then you realize how old someone is. You're like, wait, I'm 7 years older than you, because that's what typical New York City lifestyle is like,
right.
But oh my gosh, someone's 8 years older than me. Well, it's just crazy.
So it seems like for you took this time to invest more heavily in the primary relationships, be it with your girlfriend, be it with your girlfriend's parents, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. The way you put it, it's kind of spot on. I've definitely enjoyed the relationships that I built with my girlfriend's parents and her brother. And it was one of those weird things where I just know that these opportunities don't come often.
Never.
So
you'll probably never live, with your your girlfriend's parents for that long.
I know, yeah. So it was one of those things where I was like, man, this is great, and I just loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a package or something.
We got a package delivery. But I mean, now that we've kind of got this podcast started, and I kind of want to segue for just everyone to know what are our plans for this podcast?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of things that we want to do. Obviously, we want to get guests, over to our house, and have more guests on the podcast. Now that especially Corona has been going down in New York, and I think people are a little bit more free to get on transportation, move around. Obviously, we'll take as many measures as needed to make sure that everyone's safe. We're not spreading any unwanted disease, but we definitely want to have more people on. But I also want to take this opportunity to just get to know how other people have spent their time during this quarantine.
Right, and I think that's a good point. Especially because I know that in the beginning, New York City was one of the biggest places to get the coronavirus, and
for sure,
it was just not enough hospital beds and things like that. But just from outside looking in, New York City is actually one of the safer places to be in right now. So it's so funny that people are actually leaving New York City. But
it's Florida, man. Don't go to Florida, guys.
Don't go to Florida, guys. But no, I'm super excited. I think we definitely have this great opportunity to just share information. And some days we might have guests, some days we might not. But I think there are just a lot of new subjects and opportunities that we could talk about now that this COVID stuff is kind of clearing up, at least in New York City.
Yeah, for sure. Even for me, in terms of this content, I think a lot of the previous episodes that we had were more focused on someone's career journey and how they got into the industry that they are in. And that's some stuff that I want to talk about still. But, I'd be curious about, what it's like to date in quarantine, man. I heard people be going on Zoom calls. I heard people be, Uber eating or seamlessing meals for the girl.
No
and then
way.
They just Zoom call the date. Isn't
No
that
way.
isn't that so cute? I think that's kind of cute and also like weird at the same time. But
It's
you know,
kind of clever,
it's-
but
it's
I don't know
clever.
if I could do that.
or so many people are just like just like it's interesting because this quarantine time has my friend told me that quarantine is almost like an accelerator where it filters out the people who are important and not important, aka it's like a lot of these people, a lot of our friends have recently just started dating in quarantine. A lot of people broke up in quarantine as well, and so they're saying that because of quarantine making us filter out and prioritizing relationships at work happen faster. Relationships that don't work, they break up faster. And so I would love to hear anyone who has like that kind of experience as well.
Yeah, I think we have some very exciting opportunities to talk to people. I feel like we know a lot of people in one side or the other, so that's going to
true.
be pretty interesting. Yeah.
That's true. So let us know what you guys want to see on this podcast in terms of like the questions that we ask with our guests. Let us know right in the comment section down below.
Yeah. With that being said, I think this is good.
Yeah, for sure, man. Hey, so thank you so much for not drinking, watching.
Watching.
We are drinking, but not you guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Did You Eat Yet? We're so glad to be back again. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're also on any streaming platform you want, Spotify, Apple Music, the deal. And make sure you follow us on Instagram to really know any updates, anything that's going on, and to be notified for any of the new episodes that we got going.
Yeah, and if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe.
Smash that like.
Smash that like and subscribe.
Absolutely. We're trying to get to 100, guys.
Yes.
Anyways, you guys have a good rest of your week, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
See ya.